Right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sarah Buckner, and I'm going to be your moderator for today's webinar. So backed by popular demand, we're going to be covering websites again. This time around, we're going to be covering a few new items that came in from the Q&A from last time. But if you do happen to have questions while we're going through things, feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat. You can find that there at the bottom ribbon, and we'll get to those at the end of the webinar. So I will now hand it off to Brian Mattingly.
Hey, thank you, Sarah. And yes, happy to be back with you all. As Sarah alluded to, we ran a webinar a few weeks back and specifically on our websites and the website platform. And we had several questions come in past that and follow-up questions around some of the things that we're going to talk about today. So we thought it would be important to kind of go back and readdress a few of those items and bring a few new items to light today based on the questions from the last webinar. So today you have, as you heard from Sarah, you have her and myself and Howie. James is not going to be with us today, but as I talk about the team, we are a strong team at Limo Anywhere Marketing, and we have more than 50 specialists working behind the scenes to ensure we're providing great solutions for you and helping you grow your revenue, grow your business, and stay abreast of all the latest trends and relevant things that are happening in the industry. So we're very excited to talk today. I'm going to kick us off kind of a roadmap, and then I'll pass it over to Howie. So one thing before we get into kind of the details of the website, we are doing many webinars, like a mini series of the different offerings and different marketing tools that you have available to you with Limo Anywhere Marketing. And so be on the lookout. We have several dates coming up, and we're really going to highlight specific tools and pieces of marketing. Every tool and piece has its complexities and has things we want to learn and understand. So we're going to take the time to do that. We'll always be talking about marketing trends. We're going to do that today as well. But again, the core topic today is websites. It's our premium website offering, and it's based on we're leveraging several of the questions that came in. So this is essentially a follow-up to the first one. So I'm going to start by kicking us off with just some of the industry trends because it's so relevant to websites. I talked about this a little bit last week or the week before. But the question I always ask is how many people, anyone on this call, anyone on this webinar, if you think about yourself, how many of you have searched on ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot over the past 7 to 10 days? I was actually in a room yesterday and in a big audience, and I asked the same question. I think 95% of the people in the audience raised their hands. So what that means is the world is shifting. The world is shifting in terms of search and how search is done by us as humans and how it's reacted to by the tools out there such as the language model. So as a company companies that deal in transportation, travel, things like the things that we're so focused on, we have to be aware of these changes and we have to be forward thinking. I always say to people, if you don't have a team, an agency or a team that you're working with to help you navigate these changes is probably a good idea. It doesn't have to be us, but just having some specialists to help you through these changes that are coming up. So part of what we're going to talk about too is the impact of a website on the changes that are coming and happening today from AI. So the statistic was 25 to 30% of all searches now, or at least at the end of 2024 was the stat, are going through AI-driven models, Chat, GPT, Google Gemini, and Microsoft Copilot are just a few of them. There's other ones like Claude, Periscope. There's other ones out there for sure, but those are some of the main ones that we talked about. The other thing I would say is, digital advertising is a place that we have to be on, and so you have to think about it. 77% of all ad spend right now is on a digital means, and if you're not doing it, your competitor is. So you need to think about how can I drive business. And the algorithms have shifted, and the digital ad landscape has shifted so much over the past, I don't know, even 12 to 24 months. It's getting more and more challenging. You have to be quite nimble to navigate that world as well. So anyway, so that's one thing to think about. The other thing is this. We talked about the website being such a critical part of being, is a strategy to help stay forward thinking with all these AI changes. So I want to talk just a little bit about this before I hand it over to Howie on the next piece. So just thinking about the website piece itself, websites were designed for user experience historically, right? How is someone going to navigate the website? Where are they going to click? How do their eyes flow? How to get the best conversion for them to do a booking, for example. That's historically how websites have been built. What's changed now is not only do you have humans navigating websites, but you also have these AI agents or the ChatGPTs of the world that are going out there and delivering information back to the consumer. So when you search on ChatGPT, it fires out the agents. They go try to figure out, what's the best way to display information back to you, what resources to pull in. So we have to be thinking about our websites now, not just from the human interaction standpoint, but also as it reacts to agents. And one of the things, just a real simple thing that was in a piece that I just recently read it was related to the CEO of Travelocity, is that, it's not even keywords anymore that we put into our website. The AI is so intuitive, it can understand the intent of the language that putting keywords all over our website isn't necessarily going to be the exact strategy we're going to need to be thinking about going forward. So really lots of changes like that. But that's why, our team is super dialed in. We meet weekly talking about this and trying to stay ahead to make sure that we understand. The reality is no human on this planet can tell you right now exactly how an AI agent's going to deliver a result, because there's a lot of complexity in that. It's thinking itself, for example. So, but what we do know through some of the experiments is the following, and this is my last bullet on the slide, is that a role of your website is the way that the AI engines understand it. It has to be authentic. It has to be a trusted source of data, and it has to provide insights and recommendations. It has to be accessible. And these are the things that Howie's going to talk about. But before I hand it over to Howie and the role of websites, I want to just bring into one piece of information to you. You might think I just put my travel itinerary on the screen to Rome, Italy, but I'll tell you just a little backstory here. My daughter was living in Rome last year through a college program, and my wife and I went to visit her, and we decided we would try our luck at ChatGPT to create an itinerary for ourselves. And we told them exactly the time we had to spend on this itinerary, where how far we were willing to go, what types of food we liked, and places we wanted to go, or the types of places we wanted to go visit. We threw that into ChatGPT, and out came an itinerary recommending recommending transportation services, recommending restaurants, things like that. So if that's what's happening today, and there's plenty of articles out there. In fact, we could probably drop one in the chat here related to this. And Sarah, I'll do that. But there's so much saying that this is the future of the way people are searching, and transportation is such a big part of this that, again, we have to be prepared. And starting with our website is the first piece of information. So Howie, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you take it away.
Thank you. So on today's webinar, our main focus is going to be talking about how to target a larger audience to gain more business. The main focus of today is going to be the accessibility portion of what we discussed on the last webinar. So if you want to go to the next slide. In the last webinar, this is what we talked about. It was what makes a website secure, reliable, and accessible. So these were the three topics we kind of went over, and we go into details of it. But on today, we're going to talk mainly, you can go back to the other one, it's fine, mainly on the accessibility portion of it. And a lot of you might be asking, what is ADA? And that's the American Disability Act. And you might think, why does this pertain to websites? Just like a business, your website has to be accessible. You have to make sure it's visible to anybody with any type of disability, whether they're blind, it could be color blindness, it could be other cognitive issues that they might have. It has to flow and function with certain things that we'll kind of go over in this presentation. The other terminology that you might hear often is, I don't even know how you properly pronounce it. I always call it WCAG, but it's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. That's what you mainly hear, especially if you're outside of the US, because they might not have the American Disability Act. They probably have some other terminology for that. But the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines is what is universal throughout the world. And web accessibility, it came to a surprise to me that 15% of the general population lives with a disability. So it's if you don't have a proper website, you're discriminating against 15% of the population, which is going to be some of your users that are going to be offering to get your service. So anything that is a public accommodation needs to meet these requirements. So next slide, please.
Yeah, so just a quick piece to interject. We talked about like on the last side, the being an authentic, trusted advisor. That's something that AI engines are looking at.
Yep.
These are the types of things that help solidify that for the agents. So, the ADA piece that Howie's talking about. And again, if as you're hearing this information, as Howie's delivering this information on this, you can go in the chat. There's a link there if you want to have Brian or our team take a look at your website and just see, kind of what the accessibility is and what the impacts are. He certainly can do that with you. So that would be in the chat. So Howie, I'm going to pass it back over.
So you might be wondering, how does this impact my business as a black car service? Failing to comply with ADA standards could result in lawsuits, fines, but it can also significantly damage your reputation as a business. The number of accessibility related lawsuits is rising every year. So it's very possible that it could be coming your way if you don't meet these certain requirements. Our premium website offering has a lot of the tools that are needed in the guidelines in our platform. We also partnered with a company called AudioEye, and AudioEye uses AI technology to automate other corrections that need to take place to provide to meet the guidelines required. So we're trying everything we can to help out our businesses to meet the required guidelines of what is recommended as of today. Go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, our main focus is going to be how do you target to a larger audience? And by building a website that meets these guidelines in general is going to provide all users, all visitors of your site, a better user experience. And it doesn't matter if they have a disability or not. It just, the way you structure the website just makes things improve, which is what is going to help with your SEO, your search engine optimization. It's going to help with the way Google's recognizing your technology. So it's going to help boost your overall experience of the website and your ranking. So it's going to just overall provide a better experience to have people actually book with you. There are millions of people with disabilities just in the US, and providing a barrier-free experience can help capture this market. If your competitor doesn't have an accessible website, they're not going to be able to book, so they're going to go on to the next service. So you might as well be on top of your competition. There is a financial impact to doing this. So improving your reputation, obviously, as I mentioned previously, customers with disabilities or those who value accessibility is going to appreciate the effort that you are doing, which will result in better customer loyalty. And increasing sales as well. So a properly built website, as I mentioned, is going to help with your SEO. So it's going to bring more people to your site. It's going to also make it easier for them to navigate to get what they need to increase the conversion and customer engagement. And last, obviously, as I mentioned, it's going to prevent those costly lawsuits or fines.
Yeah, Howie, just interjecting too on the signal you mentioned, and I know you're going to talk a little bit more about this, but having this functionality set up properly sends up a signal as to Google, sends up a signal to ChatGPT that this company is doing things right, and it is a good opportunity for us to present it, being Google, to the consumer who's got the intent and needing the service. So it does obviously satisfy the need of that consumer type, but it also, on the much broader piece, has a big financial impact, because if you're not doing it well, you're not going to get the same favor, for example, that another website would with the agent-driven search engines as well as Google.
You can go to the next slide. So The guidelines are very lengthy. There's a lot of stuff that actually goes into making sure that your site is meeting the guidelines. But just I wanted to kind of feature a few of the main things that you should be looking for, whether you're going to a website, you want to make sure your site is accessible, or just some of the offerings that we are providing in it. So these are the dead set required for any website. And if you don't have these features, then you're definitely not going to be compliant, which draws the red flags. The first one is the keyboard navigation. So there's a lot of people that are disability and they can't use their their mouse because of maybe arthritis or something like that. So they use their keyboard and they can tab through the website. So that's what the keyboard navigation is. And there's a lot of commands that they learn on how to navigate using just their keyboard. The next one is the focus highlight. You might see this on some websites where you're kind of about to click on something and it puts a box around it or it highlights certain elements. That is allowing the customer that has visibility issues to know where they're actually clicking or navigating. A lot of times it might look kind of mismatch. A lot of sites might use like a red box, and red might be not your color scheme. It's meant to be that way so it stands out. But there are ways around that you can make it look better. Proper heading structure. This is crucial. This is when you are on your site, every page should have a H1, which is your header one. It should only have one header one, and then you would structure your page below that with different header types to make so that when you're navigating to the site, you know what's most important to least important. Alt tags are something that are really overlooked on websites. This is for your images. A lot of people, when they do alt tags, they're very generic of what their alt tags are. They're not very descriptive. And I've actually seen lawsuits for that reason. Their image, someone that can't see the image, if they don't know what that image is, they can actually create a lawsuit based on that. So what we do is we use an AI assistance, and what it does is it scans the entire image. It will put a very detailed description of what that image is. So that way, if someone's using a screen reader and it hovers over that image, it will read them and they'll know exactly what's in that image. The skip to content is another good tool to have. This one's not as required, but it is recommended. So whenever you go to a site, if you do click on tab, you'll see at the very top, it's usually in the top left corner, it will say skip to content. And what this allows someone that's using their keyboard navigation is to click that button. So they'll hit enter and it will skip down to the content of that page. This way they don't have to tab through every single item. It will actually tab through every menu item. It will tab through all the header types to get to that section. So this allows them to navigate to the website quicker. And then the last one is the color contrast. Color contrast is very important. You need to make sure that stuff is standing out. So a lot of times on our images, you'll see that there's kind of like an overlay to help the text stand out. The buttons have to be certain colors. There are ways to kind of work around that as well. You can see on the right-hand side, that is kind of showing the AudioEye interface. So that kind of helps out if there are some issues with, sometimes with your branding, your colors are hard to kind of get things to be perfect. AudioEye will then step in and use some AI technology to help out to make sure that that stuff is working, but someone can also go ahead and click on that contrast button to help change the colors of the website. They can also increase the font size. They can utilize some of these other tools, the highlight and the cursor and stuff to make things kind of stand out to help them out. The AudioEye, that interface that you're seeing on that homepage, that actually doesn't make your site compliant, like having that or not. It's what it's doing behind the scenes is what helps, bring you to the proper guidelines. So just because you see that on the website doesn't mean you're actually ADA accessible. So if you want to go to the next, this is something that we kind of covered in the last presentation. So I figured I'll just go over it again in case if people weren't here. This is a customer that was on a WordPress website. We had moved them to our platform, and just by moving them to our platform, providing them with the newer technology, providing with the SEO built-in features, providing with the ADA features that we're doing, you can see how their traffic has grown just organically. This is not running any ads. It's not doing anything special. This is just moving them to our platform, building out the site properly to help generate organic traffic.
Yeah, Howie, it's just a quick jump in here. So this is a great picture and visual. One of the challenges, WordPress is such a widely used platform. Obviously, it's a fantastic platform. Um, the challenge, because it's so widely used, is security. A lot of times, because if hackers are going to go after something, they're going to go after the most widely used platform, and so they'll can often get into to some of the WordPress websites. Part of the problem with this client is they weren't keeping their WordPress or the various plugins on their WordPress site up to date, and that was causing some issues with the organic search. So by no means is WordPress a bad application. It's just acceptable. And so, the LA platform that we've built for our clients and our customers, takes that out of play, right? All the automations are set up for the plugin. There's no plugin updating. All the security layers are very tight. So that's one of the benefits of moving to the platform. But all in WordPress, if you have the right people maintaining it and doing the right things to it on a regular basis, looking at it weekly or whatever it needs, obviously it's well known and it is a good platform. So just wanted to hit that. So this was one example where they weren't doing those types of things.
And then same thing here. This was just a same client where you could just see we don't unfortunately have what they were previously, but based on just seeing their organic traffic and how it's improved, my assumption was that their performance was not this high. But you could see that our sites are ranking very well. So just wanted to kind of share that again.
And how it just, again, it's you're thinking about your own site, right? The things that matter, the signals, again, going back to Google for SEO, the signals going back to ChatGPT for being something they want to display, are tied to speed, right? Is the site performing well? Is the site painting the images properly? These things matter so much, and it's so important. Anybody can go look at their own website, go to GT Metrics, and get your grade on it. Of course, you can have Brian take you through kind of a little bit of a deeper dive on it, and I think you could get on his calendar on the link. But the bottom line is, like, these are things that drive signals and ultimately end up impacting revenue. So important to note that. Oh, sorry there. So how do you want me to bring it home here?
Sure.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here is our platform. We not only provide you a website, there's a lot of other features that we are providing or that we offer, such as call tracking, local SEO, Google Ads, Meta Ads, text marketing, email marketing. And what we did is we built a single platform where you can access everything. So that what you're seeing here is how you would actually log into your website. You would go to your platform and then you would click a button. It'll automatically sign you in to your website just to make things a lot more streamlined. You have all your stats in one spot and making it easy to get everywhere you need to go.
Great. So right. So the platform is fantastic. It's something that was built specific for our clients at LA. So just so you know, we have three different packages. We actually have a fourth package that's not on here. So our basic package is that website. We also have a whole brand reputation engine that allows for, review, amplification, and responding, listings management, which we're going to do a whole webinar on that. It's super important for, consistency on the internet, just making sure your listings are properly set up, text and email. So that's all in the basic program. And then if you're really looking to drive business, of course, we have that coupled with ads, right? So we do a combination of Google and Facebook ads, try to drive into intent, people searching for the need for your product, but also on the retargeting, people that you've used you in the past. We have a platform that ties all these together. We can run promotions, things like that. So really, if you're looking for growth, Rocket's fantastic. And then Booster takes, the basic with the paid ads. It's kind of the all in, where SEO becomes a big piece. And again, we've really beefed up our SEO team, knowing that all the changes in the marketplace. And so we're really excited about the strength of our SEO team right now and how that can impact. And when I say SEO, that's search engine optimization. Some people call it AEO now, so answer engine optimization when it comes to AI. But really just areas, of course, as business owners, you need to be thinking about. And so we have packages, and of course, Brian can take you through this. He can analyze your site. He can, look at, how you're ranking on organic. So if SEO is something you need, he can, kind of unpack that for you. So again, get on the link with him if you want to review your website. We're running a special that was extended because we did this webinar for a second time based on the questions we got. So I believe it's for another 7 days from today. So that actually extension date is the 26th of Feb. So anyway, so that's just something to go ahead and grab, save that $600 if it's something you're looking for. So again, just as we kind of talked about at the beginning, we're doing a series on these webinars, or a series of webinars on different pieces that are applicable to growth of your business, and really deep diving in. We're going to do a piece of the next one. I'm not sure the order of these, but we're definitely going to talk about reputation management reviews. If you're not responding to them right now, that's a huge signal. If you're not getting reviews, you need to be. We have tools to help you do that. So these are signals both for Google, both for Chat GPT. We'll talk about advanced SEO. Again, I told you we'd talk about listings, such a big one, text and email to drive new and repeat business, paid ads, the paid ad strategies, blending both Google and Meta, and retargeting and audience builds and things like that. It's really interesting and really relevant. And then we have some stuff coming with AI chatbots and inboxes too, for two-way communications out to clients through text and some other mechanisms. So Sarah, I will pass it back to you if there's anything for housekeeping, or if there's any questions for us to take.
Of course, thank you. So it does look like we have just a couple questions that came in. I think Howie should be able to answer all of these for us. So first one is, how do I know if my current website is accessible right now?
So knowing if your site is accessible, there are tools out there you can use, but it is kind of tricky to understand. They'll throw some errors that really aren't necessarily an error. So my recommendation is schedule a demo with Brian. He'll go over your site, he'll review it, and let you know what could be improved, what should be improved, and how we can kind of help you with that.
Perfect. And here's another one. So I've looked into AudioEye and it is expensive. Is this included, or do I have to pay extra for this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, AudioEye is very expensive, especially if you go on your own. We do include it in our pricing, so don't worry about it. It's automatically going to be on your website no matter what.
All right, and it looks like this is our last one. If I'm outside of the US, does this affect me?
So the answer to that is yes. Although some countries might not have lawsuits because of ADA accessibility, it's still going to be building your website in the proper structure to help your users to access the website. So even if you don't have a disability act in your country, it's still very important to follow the proper guidelines of website structure.
And let me just want to add on to that, right? Like, so no matter what country you're in, the Google engines and the AI engines are doing the same types of things, and this
Yes.
is one of those signals. So whether there's a disability act, for example, in your specific country, just for the SEO impact, I think it's important as well, on top of course being accessible for the end user.
Right, and I think that about wraps this up. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you found this valuable and informative. Again, if you'd like to schedule that website audit, make sure that you click the link in the chat, and our team would be happy to answer any questions you might have and get you that website audit that you need. So hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we look forward to connecting soon. Bye, guys.